I got back from the show. I got all kinds of stuff here, but it is
what you got? Let me see some. What you got? What's your favorite shoe up there?
No, I don't know. What do I got? Let me see.
Yeah.
I just got some throwback Jordans in the box came in. What else I got? I just got these joints from the Foot Locker. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, what's those? The
Huarache joints.
The Huaraches. Yeah. The black ones.
And I got some old Air Max 95s. They're by far my favorite.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I got the pink joints just came in. Boom. I'm sick with it. I snipe them on eBay. You know what I mean? So, like, I just find them and wait until they come in. What's I got in here? I got some Louis Vuitton shit. I got this picture right here. That's some awesome signed-ass old shit of Lawrence Taylor. What else I got? I got some Muhammad Ali signed shit. Got a few of them up on the wall. So, my little tour of my man cave, I guess you can call it. You know what I mean?
Hey, sweet, man.
So what do you got? You got a radio show? We on now live? Are you recording this or?
Yeah, we just hit it right now.
All right, cool.
So this is all about you, man. What do we got, man? You're the author of My Kids on Drugs Now What?
Yep, My Kids on Drugs Now What? Great book. Just got back from the book show in New York City. You see me
right?
Doing it. Let's get a copy of the book here for everybody. Boom. My Kids on Drugs Now What? I guess it looks backwards because the camera's backwards. But it's what I'm passionate about, man. I guess you know me for a while from the hometown.
Yeah, Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Yeah, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And I kind of got, I had that whole celebrity thing on Big Brother. I ended up getting myself in a lot of trouble. And I somehow, some way, by the grace of God, I guess you could say, turned it around and ended up making it happen where before I got in trouble, I was living in South Florida, and down here is like the rehab capital of the country. So for me, I didn't even know outside my front door was so much people getting help and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So then when I came back and got out, I bought a bunch of real estate with my money that I won on Big Brother, and I ended up, having the liberty and the opportunity to, I was living with my now fiance at her house, and I didn't really want to rent it out. So I was like, let me buy a halfway house. So I did pretty good for a while there, and then I ended up getting into more of the medical sales and other real estate stuff. So I transitioned out of that and, just was just sponging it up. I'm not really hardcore into the recovery scene, but I see what happens. And then with the mental illness that I suffer with the bipolar, my mom really decided to act. So we opened up what's called Ocean's Medical Centers. It's a outpatient program here in Boynton where you can, say you're suffering from drug addiction or, you're not feeling comfortable mentally. We have great housing and a great program where you can just fly on down and get yourself right. Even if it's for 2 weeks, it's something to get away from that norm, that monotony, that same old that you get into, especially up north, man. Coming into the springtime, it's fun. But when you're in the wintertime and that funk, it's kind of hard. Same old job, same old life, depression, you get anxiety. Especially being a man, it's hard not knowing what tomorrow is going to hold. You got bills piling up. You got kids to feed, and sometimes it gets just tough. So it's good, to offer that there so they can get away and, get the help they need to get their life on track.
Absolutely. And how do we get connected with that program?
It's oceansmedicalcenters.com. It's on social media at Oceans Medical. And if anybody needs to come, it's great. We have awesome housing, and it's a bunch of cool guys. It's like when I got into the whole industry, it's like I was worried about it. It's not a bunch of tough guys and killers. It's a bunch of cool kids that really, most of the guys that we have are between the ages of 18 and 26 because that's what your parents' insurance usually covers you up to now through Obamacare. So we do something different. It's not just a regular traditional rehab in a sense where it's all about substance abuse. We're fully licensed mental health. And what no one really knows out there is you don't have to be a drug addict to go out and get your life on track. If you have trauma, if you have phobias, if you're hearing voices in your head, there's something out there for you to come and talk to some professionals and, see people who really understand what you're going through and be around like peers and like people who can share with you, what's going on in their life in order to give you a better life at the end. And, I personally had to go through that. I went to University of Pennsylvania. I actually applied for a bipolar study because I was free and clear of drugs for like 6 months. And I was like, damn, something ain't right. I'm still trying to get crazy a while. So I applied for the bipolar study at UPenn. Ended up walking in there, and the guy's like, whoa, you're too much for what we're looking for. He's like, but you've been suffering too long. I'm going to get you better. And those steps and that process that I went through, the drugs just fell by the wayside. So my mom, seeing that, of course, her act, and she was like, if that saved my son, how can I help other parents not go through what I went through? So now
I love that, man. And
yeah.
how much did you win from the Big Brother show?
$500,000, man.
$500,000. Sweet, man.
And drive me crazy.
The reason why I was asking you that is because I'm curious to know, like, at what point did you know that you had bipolar?
Well, I didn't realize it. I mean, when I was little, they always, you know, when we grew up, everybody was ADD. Everyone was sniffing, Ritalin, and that stuff. It was the hot thing back then. And I was always full of energy, and I was always, you know, wanting more. And I knew something was wrong, but when I did the coke, when I did drugs, it kind of normaled me out. So I knew something was the matter. But really, after I got arrested, and then I went to a rehab for 6 months, and I always thought rehab was for quitters. You don't need that. I'll man up. I'll do it myself. I ain't got a problem. I'll just switch it up. But the rehab actually taught me the principles behind the way I'm thinking and that I have a disease. So I was clean 6 months, and I was like, something's still not right. I'm still having, you know, manic behaviors. I'm still feeling like now I identify with the symptoms, but it was the matter of, you know, I wasn't sleeping regularly. I wasn't getting enough, you know, like even if I wake up at 10 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes I still got to get 8 hours a day. Like if I need 8 hours a day of sleep, or it compounds. Another thing I learned from the program is that I got to spend my energy. Being manic, I have to get up, go hard, and wear myself out, or come home, I'm still, you know, trying to go. And I have to, like, separate, like, I'll obsess over businesses. Like, forever, I would start a company, do good, and then crash and burn because I burn out on it. So now I try to, you know, recently I've been really going at it hard with the book and everything, but it's time to go. Put up or shut up. It's go time now, so I have to kind of get it in. But leading back to your question real fast, what made me go there? I knew something was wrong. Something wasn't clicking. I was free and clear of every drug. My body was clean as well. And I was like, something's still not clicking. There got to be something out there. So I went and applied for a study, you know, to get an honest assessment versus saying I got locked up, help me, you know, and try and cop out for my charges or anything like that. Make sense?
Right. Yeah, it definitely does, man. So what were you doing? Like, when did you start using drugs?
I guess, I got my first ounce of weed when I was about 14 behind Pathmark on Chapel Avenue, man. That was when it first started, and then from there it was off to the races. And then, you know, for a while in high school I did all right, and then I was leaving early for school, going getting drugs, bringing them back, and I really was bad in high school for a little while. Like my senior year was pretty bad. And my mom actually helped stop that. I tell about it in the book how, you know, she used to work for, I guess, LabCorp, which is a big, like, Quest Diagnostics testing company. But before they had the instant 12-panel tests, you know, I got one of them shits right here, actually. I sell them now. Before these things became readily available, what she did was she would leave a plastic cup on the counter for me and be like, come on, pee in the cup. You know what I mean? I know something's going on that's not right. And that was, for me, I tell the story in the book, the first time I did it, I went in the bathroom, there's pee in the toilet. I was like, oh, shit, sweet. So I dipped the cup in there real fast. And she sent it back, and it came positive for THC. I guess my dad was smoking weed. And what helped me was, you know, the harder drugs that I was using didn't come up. So when 3 days later, I kind of stopped right away. So I knew the weed would be okay, and I wasn't on hard drugs. And that really slowed me down. Got me into college, got me focused a little bit, got me involved in a couple businesses that made me some good money. And my life was good for a number of years until, you know, I mean, I would do good and crash and then go through. Like when I was 25 years old, I was like, I'm a quarter century. I'm taking off and getting it in for a year, you know, and that just stupid thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, who wants to go party and travel the world and do drugs for a year? I mean, I was on and all, but, you know, that compounds and makes your life harder. But down the road, I paid the price for that decision.
All right, so would you say that being on the show, the Big Brother show, did that make things worse for you? Did it make things better? Like, what would you say about that?
I mean, on the Big Brother show, it was all good, but for me, I was living in
But that's
South
a lot of
Florida.
money, and with your drug of choice, that's a lot of money, man.
Well, what happened to me was I was living in South Florida before that, and I had a script for the pills. I was doing my little thing. It was okay. But down here was like the pill mill was a fucking epidemic, dude. Like they legit had MRI machines that would come to your house and check you out front and then write you the script right like to your front door. It was insanity. So when I come out with $500,000, I cleaned up on the show. I was partying before I got on Big Brother a little bit, but I got out and right away, boom, right in your face. They're paying me, you know, $5,000, $3,000, $2,000 to go to some state fair or some, nightclub event. And right away, it's right in your face. You put yourself back in a scene that you shouldn't be in with a pocket full of money, and then you come home with, I got fired from my job. I was working for an autism charity, actually. And I said, I mispronounced the impolitically correct way of saying things. And they blew it out of proportion. So I came out with no job, going to nightclubs every night and a pocket full of money. So it ended up, getting a little bit, partying too much. And, you like it's easy money, man.
All right, so you mentioned your mom a few times, actually. I don't know. I wanted to ask you about your support system, because not everybody can go as far as you have into drugs and come out on this side, which is an amazing side. Like, what was your support system like? Some people have a support system, and some people get so bad that everybody walks away from them, and they have to dig themselves out. What's your story about that?
Well, listen, I did it bad enough where no one cared, but I still was open and transparent. It's a lot easier when you tell it how it is versus doing scumbag shit and robbing and stealing from people where you burn your bridges. I had my own money, so it was okay. So I was calling the shots a little bit, and they knew something was up. But afterwards, it was like, once you found out you're sick and you can't control it, and you're like, man, I'm struggling. It wasn't easy. Like, doing drugs is like breathing to people. It's tough. And to be vocal about that with your support system and say, look, I'm going through a hard time. Bear with me. Versus, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm okay. Or fuck you, mom, you're crazy, is not the way to go about it. So I was, I guess, an intelligent addict, intelligent by, being open and vocal. And especially with mental health and with getting sober, you got to be up front with what you're doing and what's going on. So to answer the question, for my support system, why they stuck around and why they're still there, I think it was because of the way I approached it and how I was transparent to what I was going through.
Okay, so that's your support system. Now, you got this book, man, and I seen you at the book con yesterday. It's crazy, man. I see what you're doing, but I want to read something for you, because I'm always a big advocate of, they say if you say it, it's a lie, but if they say it, it's the truth. So I'm on here and I see a lady, Book View, on Instagram. This is what she wrote about you, and I want to ask you something about it. She said, okay, you guys, know that CBS Big Brother was the life force behind Book View. So many really long days and nights. I became a super fan, and Adam Jasinski was easily my favorite dude. To say I was shocked to see him at the BookCon is an understatement. This guy is so incredibly kind, funny, and has the biggest heart. I'm so happy and excited to welcome him into the book world. This book he wrote is going to change a lot of families' lives. I personally know this struggle with my own family members, and I'm excited to see this conversation start. So do me a favor, go like the shit out of his post and follow my dude. Let's show him some serious love. Side note, he posted about me. I'm dead. Got to meet a big fan and the girl behind Bookview. Being on a show, that's really cool. I know you accumulated a great deal of fans and a lot of followings. But this message, when I was reading it, it almost gave me a little bit of chills, because she's talking about, she is for certain that your book is going to change families.
She wrote that. Hey, listen, that's not just writing that because she knows me. She went home. I remember you talking about, I gave her a book and she had read it already. And she, she said she's been through it. So it's not like I'm pumping bullshit, Yeah. But the book is, when she found out, when I told everyone to show, is prevention where it's at today is pretty much non-existent. It's what? Get to rehab. That's their prevention. Prevention is don't do drugs. It's not like that. What the book says is get your game together before something happens. What she's talking about is she sees my passion. She knows my fire. In my kids on drugs now, say, if you leave your kid at home with a babysitter, you leave that punch list of emergency contact numbers. The way to prevent drugs from happening is be prepared as a parent. Get those numbers ready ahead of time. Pre-certify a rehab. Know what to happen if you find drugs in their nightstand drawer. And then on the other scale of things, people say rehab doesn't work. Rehab works. It gets you clean for 30, 60 days. What doesn't work is after rehab. And what my kids on drugs now, what does is takes you to that journey, to the end, to sobriety, to aftercare, to success after rehab. So that's what someone like that reads the book who knows what the process is now and what's currently out there. What she's saying, and she knows, is that I'm making a difference when it comes to changing the whole game up. It's groundbreaking. I'm taking the conscious story that's out there in this country now about addiction and about prevention to another level where we can turn this corner. If we start educating parents now on what's required to get your kid off of drugs, it'll prevent them from letting their kids even do drugs.
So what's a simple thing that someone's watching this and their kid is on drugs right now?
I would immediately find a detox, find a hospital that has the best detox program close to you, and interview therapists. You don't just throw your kid in any fucking therapist, man. I went through 6, 7 guys, chicks, whatever, till I found the dude who was like me in 20 years. So if your kid's 20, find a therapist that's 40, that's just like your kid or daughter. You know, if, say, your daughter is artsy hipster, find an artsy hipster therapist that's 20 years older so you can teach your kid what happened in their life so it's successful for you. Don't just say, go to this therapist and it's going to work. Like, number one tip, prepare. List, A, what to happen. Listen, if someone relapses at my mom's treatment center, we never go right up to them and say, you did drugs, you got to stop, this is what you need to do. No, you take and prepare on the back scenes. You go behind the scenes and you line up for your kid every step of the process. Here's a medical detox doctor. Here's a outpatient detox facility where I can get them comfort meds so they're not going through withdrawal. Here's a hospital I take them to immediately if they withdraw. Here's Narcan that I have in my house in case they overdose. Here is a therapist they can go speak with to get better. Here is my insurance card with approved benefits. Why mortgage your house for 30 grand to send your kid to rehab that might not work because you're not ready for the aftercare versus 200 more a month to get a PPO policy where your kid can go to 5 rehabs in a year? Get your insurance in line. Lastly is pick out that treatment center. So all your ducks are in a row. God forbid it happens. You know exactly who to call, exactly where to go. So when you do approach your kid, odds are if they're doing heroin, they're going to say, go fuck you, mom, But you can say, listen, baby, I don't want you to get sick. I got it all set up for you. We're going to get you meds. You're going to get some Suboxone. It's going to be an easy transition, and you're not going to feel any pain. Let's give it a try and see if it works. If not, go do what you were doing. And that's the game changer, is how you approach the kids that are on the drugs and let them know it's a silver fucking platter. The change is scary. Not doing drugs is scary. It's fun to get high, but your life's a mess. So why not hand it to them on a silver platter and say, look, here's what we're going to do for you, sweetheart. I know it's going through a hard time. I see you've been struggling. I love you, and here's the best option. Let's give it a try.
All right. That's dope, man. And I know you're kicking down the doors of a lot of these schools to get in, they're inviting you in, do your keynote deal. But as you were saying, I heard so much passion when we were speaking the other day. I'm curious to know, what ages is the best, how young is too young to start educating our kids about drugs?
12, 13. These kids aren't doing heroin no more. My boy from Cherry Hill called me the other day. He's like, man, my little sister's in the basement. They're all fucked up. There's no weed and there's no beers. So what are they doing? They're doing pain pills or heroin. It's socially acceptable. So these kids are now going from, when we grew up, there's a scale, 0, green, yellow, red. When we started coming up, it's smoke some weed, drink some beer, do some coke, do some pills, heroin. Now it's heroin. So I'm saying the books are too people.
Okay. Hold up, we just froze up.
Is my battery dying?
Yeah, we just froze up.
I got 15% on my end. I'm good still.
Okay, it just froze a little bit.
We back?
Yeah, I did. Now kind of, sort of. Yeah, we're back.
All right, good. So where I leave off at? Oh, so what the program wants to teach is that not saying your kid's using drugs. People don't understand that being prepared is better than being sorry. You know the Heimlich maneuver, you know CPR. Why not know exactly what to do and what's going to entail if you find out your kid's using hard drugs? So you have to assess the scale where they're on. What we teach in the seminars is, beyond the book, is how you can assess your child, see where he's at. If he's just starting to use drugs and his behavior is just starting to change, don't send him to rehab in South Florida where the wolves are, where everyone's shooting dope, and put him with the dope heads. They're going to come home in a body bag. You want to develop a hybrid program locally to try and steer him off track. You want to drug test him and know for sure. A lot of times these kids minimize what they're doing. They're like, yeah, Ma, I'm just smoking weed, I'm okay. Put a drug test on the table and let them pee in that shit. And then you're going to know exactly what drugs they're using. If heroin, they pop 30 for heroin, you got to get them into rehab, man. They need more help. Someone who's shooting IV drugs is not going to stop shooting IV drugs on their own. So I know I got a little bit off topic there, but how old should I start? I mean, if I was a parent, if my kid was going to the middle school, I would start I would read my book when their kid's going to the middle school. Nice. And then I would read if my kid was anything over that age or actively using any kind of drugs, I read the book.
Sweet. And what is this? You keep pulling up this bottle. Like, what is that?
This is a 12-panel drug test. You see?
Like, how does that? Like, why do we need that?
You take the top off of here.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and the kid pees in the cup, and then you put it. Oh, I dropped that shit. Hold on. You pee in the cup, and then what you do is you peel this label off. You see the label on here? It says "peel here." You peel that off, and then it reveals to you every one of the every one of the columns is a drug class. So every Oxy, TCA, whatever that is, MTD is, I think, buprenorphine, benzos, barbiturates, ecstasy, PCP, methamphetamines, amphetamines, opiates, cocaine, and THC. Because it tells you all 12 of those panels. They're for sale on my website, mykidsondrugs.com.
How long does that take?
Instant test right there in front of you. A minute.
Nice.
So you'll know within a minute what your kid's really doing. If your kid's just smoking pot and growing up and drinking some beers, you know, I don't condone it ever. It's still illegal. But, I mean, that's better off if they're honest with you. Like, yo, I'm just smoking some weed. Chill out. You know, I'm not that bad. I know what's going on out there. And they're like, all right, pee in a cup. You pee in this cup, and it comes positive for just THC. You know your kid's not lying to you. Versus if you're like, I'm just smoking weed, and you're like, okay, let me see. And they're like, nah, I'm not doing that. Why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that to me. It's not fair. Fuck you. It's my privacy. I'm going to let you see my dick, you know. Whatever lie they want to make up. Obviously, they're hiding something. So at that point, the conversation needs to be escalated, because the longer you let that happen as a parent, the longer that you know, minimize it, deny it, and let it slide, believe they'll get better on their own. If your kid's doing heroin, he needs your help.
Have you ever been close to an overdose?
Who, did I have?
Yeah.
No, I was more like, I wasn't. There's two kinds of users. I talk about it in my Kids on Drugs Now What. There's the fall down drunk. They're the ones that are overdosing because they can't get enough. Me, I was more of a functional user. You know, I would just do it to try and maintain my mental stability. So I don't even think I ever came close to an overdose. I think I might have came close to like hurting my body from like malnutrition or like staying up for a couple days on drugs. But I mean, there wasn't the fentanyl. There wasn't, you know, when I was coming up, when I was using, you know, the stuff wasn't cut with the powerful stuff that it is now. I mean, fentanyl costs $3,500 an ounce from China, and they're cutting it down to make about $1 million off of it. So they're not going to stop selling its drug. There's money to be made. They need to sell it to make money. So if they think they're going to stop it from happening, I doubt it's going to be that. You have to know that they're aggressively going to be pushing drugs that are fatal.
Okay, sweet. I want to talk a little bit more about the Oceans Medical Center, but My Kids on Drugs Now What? In the book, does it say anything in regards to what are some signs that we can know if our kids are doing drugs?
Yeah, in the appendix, there's definitely each drug broken down to the physical signs of the use.
Okay.
It's, you know, like if you have pinpoint eyes and they're scratchy with a groggy voice, they're on opiate. If their eyes are, with no pupils and they're not sleeping, talking super crazy, they're probably on coke or methamphetamines. And like I break it down to the most basic of form because I can't take for granted what people know. Some people never smelled weed before, so they need to know the basics from start to finish. So in the appendix of the book, I do give a detailed process of how to identify for sure if your kid's using drugs. There's a whole chapter actually dedicated to that as well.
All right, sweet, man. Just looking at, your progress over the years, it's really cool to see you as an author, man. I wanted to ask you, as an author myself, it looks like you got a glow about you, man. You're pumped up, you're fired up, like about being an author. It's kind of funny, but
yeah, the book was like, I was working on it for a while. I mean, when I was away, I was like, I'm gonna write a book or whatever. I didn't know what I was gonna write a book on. I didn't want to write some like dumb autobiography, like I'm some like washed up reality TV dude. Here's my story. So I just like buckled down and I was like, let me become an expert at something. Let me see what I'm passionate about, see what I know about that no one else knows. And this has ended up being it. So I started trying to write it for a while. I was doing all right. And then I had this editor lady kind of help me through the process, and, by Christmas, I was like 85% done by Christmas. And I just got burnt out. And I was like, man, I was like making up excuses like my whole life. Like the last 10% is what makes the difference. And this woman was like, boom, boom, boom. Here's what you got to do. Here's your next step. Here's what I need from you. And like gave me homework every day. And then bang, next thing you know, it was done.
After a parent reads this book, they will be equipped to what?
To prevent their kids from possibly dying. I mean, what the parents will know from reading the book is exactly what it takes to successfully get your kid off drugs. What's involved, what happens in rehab. I put a camera on the wall so you can see exactly what they're going through in group, what admissions. I can start the whole list. They will know the entire process of recovery from start to finish. From the day you find out your kid's using drugs, exactly single step you need to go through for them to come back to live in your house. Whether it's a year or two later, I take you through that whole journey of successfully how to do it. Because I mastered the art of prevention and I mastered the art of aftercare.
I love it, man. And is the Oceans Medical Center that you guys have, is that where you come and you leave every day, or is it like one of those intakes?
Oceans Medical Centers is, you live there. We have an outpatient program and we have an inpatient program. We have the options. You can come live there. Well, how it works is called the Florida model. It's kind of getting popular everywhere. There's a lot of with every crazy business, there's a lot of unscrupulous people. So I also talk about in the book and how to be careful and vet a good rehab. All right. Drug rehab is the most expensive pay-per-click on Google. So everything you see on there is half-ass articles trying to get you to sell their treatment center. So it's kind of hard for parents. It's kind of hard for parents to find accurate information online. And then everything that is either from a treatment center, you know how you write a blog so it ranks you better? That's kind of like all the content that's available on the internet. And then the other ones that rank in searches are like the drugfreeamerica.org or, the CDC and stuff like that ranks. So that's why my book, if you go to Barnes & Noble, I got a call onto them today. If you go to Barnes & Noble in the parenting section, there's not one book on the shelf for my kids on drugs. What do I do? It's more so my kid's ADD, there's a book. My kid's dyslexic, there's a book. My kid's autistic, there's a book. It makes no sense to me. So for Oceans Medical Center, how it works is we have community housing. So it's a treatment center. It's an office building. It's a nice campus-like feel that we drive you to in a van, and then you'll go there, see your therapist, sit in your group for the day, and then we bring you back to the housing, which is staffed 24 hours a day with behavioral health technicians to make sure that everything is copacetic and not buck wild at the house.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Adam. Is it illegal for corporate companies to also get involved in this drug prevention and stuff like that?
No, not at all. It's not illegal for anything. Prevention is different. The illegalities come in when you start building insurance companies for stuff you're not really supposed to be doing. Anything else than that is legal. And then another issue is the marketing, how you get people to your center. It's kind of like in real estate, you have to, you can't put fake stuff in the ad that's misleading a client. So it's kind of like they're disabled people. So that's the only really two stipulations when it comes to legalities. But I'm really trying, like I spoke to you before, I'm really trying to, offer my program to corporations in order to incorporate the prevention in their household, because they don't realize how fast, if one of your executives on your team or, people in your corporate structure are sitting there, with their son at home robbing them blind, while they're at work, or afraid they're going to come home to their kid dead, they're not performing at 100% at work. So my prevention program, and then also my intervention program, is also, I think, a very invaluable resource for corporate America in order to help, keep the employees' home lives on tip-top shape.
Okay, sweet. And can you tell us a little bit more about your vision? Maybe somebody is watching this that wants to invest in it, or maybe it can bring some type of value to it. Like, go ahead and run with it. Like, what's your vision, man?
Well, my vision is I'm a licensed interventionist. I'm a licensed preventionist. So I'm a certified interventionist. So I'm trying to, like I said to you before, scale out a national program where I have a 6-week master class. It's called the Now How. I want parents to know how you can certify yourself to be prepared 100%. You can read a book, it's great, but I want to coach you and be your resource. So what I want to do is help scale it. I want to be able to I'm one man. I can't be in a million places at once. I can't make all those phone calls by myself. It's going to be a gradual process. But I want to hit the triangle from Maryland to Ohio to Maine and back, where I can saturate that area where the top 10 states are suffering, so I can get my prevention program to teachers, to colleges, to middle schools, to guidance counselors, to human resource departments, as well as to the parents at home, where they can say, okay, this guy and his team can come intervene on my behalf. Sometimes when you have a third party come into the conversation, sorry about that, if a third party come to the conversation, it makes it a lot easier to address the situation. Like, I know if my mom ever said to me, like, hey, go to rehab, I'd be like, fuck you. But if you have a dude like me on the phone with your kid, like, yo, buddy, your mom's concerned, what's going on? You can tell me how it is. I'm on your side. Let's just figure this out, because, if your mom's this upset, you're probably suffering. So I want to offer me as a resource, and I have a team of interventionists behind me where I can possibly scale it to where I can, help thousands of parents a month, figure out how to address addiction in their home before it becomes a fatality.
Did you emotionally hurt anybody during your use? And if so, who did you hurt the most?
Probably my mom, my fiance, and my brother, and my dad, and my dogs, and whoever else.
Was there anything that really stuck out, like you were like, damn, that was really fucked up?
Some scumbag shit, dude. I cashed checks. I took money at some points. I, lied and connived with the best of them, I ended up in federal prison. So obviously, if that's not bad enough, your mom and your family think you're, the embarrassment alone that you put them through, because you're not there when they're going through that stuff. I'm sitting away somewhere else. They're, actively have to, talk to their family and their friends about what happened to their poor, son or boyfriend or brother. So they're the ones, I put them through suffering that way, and like, especially me calling from when I'm in jail, like, expecting stuff from me and putting them in a position where, life's not easy for them because of my actions is not right. So that's kind of why I wrote this book, because I don't want any parents or family to go through what I put mine through.
Awesome. And how long were you in prison? How long did you have to serve in prison?
I was a 4-year sentence. I probably did almost 4 years of it. I got like 3 off.
Dang. That was crazy, right?
Crazy, dude. Crazy. I was into it was insanity. It was like surreal how it happened. If they gave you 300 minutes a month in the feds and the phone, like, that's 10 minutes a day on the phone. That's 5 minutes for your mom and your family and 5 minutes for your girl. You can't maintain that way. It's like, by the time you say, hi, how are you? You got to get off the phone if you want to talk to them for the whole month. It's so hard. The disconnection is what's the hardest part about it. It's not so much, being there wasn't so bad. It was just the disconnection and, and not being around people you care about.
Did you ever think that you wouldn't bounce back when you was in there?
Oh, I knew I'll be all right. I knew it right away. Before I went back in, I got my bipolar, addressed and diagnosed. So when I was in there, it took, like, if you want to properly address mental illness, it takes you a couple of years to get the medication dialed in, to properly manage your medication and to find out what works. So for me, it was just hardcore working on myself in there. I was reading like a maniac. I was working out like crazy, and I was getting as much as I can out of the system while I was away, so I was prepared for success when I got out.
Super. Like, what books did you read?
Oh man, I mean every James Patterson book there is, but I read a lot of. I would have two books. One would be a self-help book, always up and open. Read the Bible every day, a self-help book, and a fiction book. So I always had, those 3 books out on my little table there, so I can always keep them open.
Right.
I read a lot of good ones, man. All the Wayne Dyer books about self-help and actualization and manifesting your destiny. I read all those. Definitely the Bible. God held my hand, man. No way. I got through there untouched, and I was in some shady ass spots, man. It was bad. I was on Con Air. I flew. It was nuts. It was nuts. It was nuts. Like, you can't describe it to people unless they've been there.
How was not having access to like drugs and stuff when you first got in? Did that take a little while, or you just was right away? Like
I was like I say, I was like on a bench, like in a holding cell. Like, I wasn't mad because I got in trouble. I was mad because I couldn't do coke no more. So I guess it was a little let down. It takes a big pill to swallow. But I mean, once I got bit by the bug, like, this isn't for me no more. This is a chance for me to figure out how I can enjoy my life without it. I mean, I went on a 25-year run of doing drugs every day, somehow, some way. So, I mean, when's enough? I guess I'm over it, But for me, on the other side of the street, like, just going to the beach, doing normal dude stuff and normal family stuff is cool because I never did that before. So, like, that's my new high. I got dirt bikes. I got a whole garage over here full of, fun toys and stuff that I play with all the time. So I got it pretty good. And, my conversation now isn't about drugs anymore. I don't talk to people about drugs. Even though these kids are in a rehab, I talk about work and the relationships and what their plans are and clothes and the gym and, doing fun shit. The conversation for me isn't about drugs no more.
Sweet. I just got 2 last questions for you, and then we'll get out, man.
All right, cool.
My first one is, where is this? What was it? All right, so my kid's on drugs now. What? If you were to be able to get that book in somebody's hand, like if you just had an imaginary list of anybody in the world, you can get your book in their hands and they're obligated to read it. Who would that person be?
The Kardashians.
Ooh.
Lamar Odom, man, drugs. Scott Disick's on drugs, and they have kids. So, I mean, that clan right there probably benefit the most because, A, they have history. B, they know what how dangerous and possibly fatal it can be, and they have kids that are coming up. So, I think that'll be Kris Jenner will probably be the one I forced to read it first, and then she tell everybody else.
All right, Kris Jenner.
I'm going to mail her one. Thank you. I was talking about it the other day. I'm going to mail her one now.
Yeah, you definitely should, man. I think that'll be dope. And
the moms like Stefani's and like Angelina Jolie should read it, Jennifer Lopez, like them kind of celebrities should definitely read it. Anybody who has kids about to be like 12 or 13 years old, because that's when it starts now.
You know what I see you as, man? Just speaking to you, I see you as like almost a better version of Tony Robbins. Are you familiar with Tony Robbins?
Yeah, he's the man, dude. He's the man.
His energy is like on a 10, and I feel that same way when, just watching you and what you're doing. Oh,
cool, man. So much. I'm trying. And I feel like that's natural for me. I'm a natural talker. I like to be in front of people. I'm not afraid of the stage. I have, a very inspirational message. I get pumped up. I get my energy gets on 10. If I'm not on this every day, something's the matter. I'm naturally like this. I'm naturally motivated to help people. I'm naturally, it makes me feel good to take my, no bullshit experience. Like, I know for a fact what works. I know for a fact how hard it is to get out of jail and not do drugs again. That's tough, man. And it's tougher for every one person using drugs. There's 2 parents, for the most part, who are suffering. And, a lot of the parents, like excluding the parents that are actually using drugs themselves, that really don't give a shit. There's a large percentage of parents out there who need a guy like me, to inspire them and motivate them to act.
Would you want to get this on TV?
Yeah.
Just this journey?
Yeah, I would love it. I think it would be a big thing because what prevention is today is non-existent. Like, whenever we went to DARE, when we were little, that's not there no more, and that didn't even work. So I'm the one person out there now who's advocating for something in real life that will be feasible to stop this epidemic. Like, I can turn the corner by training families and schools and businesses and institutions to know how to address it, to know how to be ready. Boom, I got it. The second it happens, you know exactly their course of action. And that's the ultimate prevention, is to be ready for disaster.
Hey, you know, Gary,
in Florida, man, you're going to buy gasoline, the gas station, the lines are out the street, the gas station. You're prepared for a hurricane. Why not read a book and know exactly what you got to do if you find drugs in your kid's drawer, if they come home? Because it happens so fast. You know, it happens so fast. Like, right now is Memorial Day. By Labor Day, they can have a full-blown heroin addiction and be dead. That's how scary it is now. It's not like it used to be, and that's the difference why now it's so bad, is because the drugs are that bad.
Okay. Last question was, what would you say to a lot of times functional, I think you called it functional, whatever, you said you can be functional and you can also not be functional.
A functioning addict.
Okay, so a functioning addict. What would you say to that person that doesn't think that they would benefit from reading this book, or, you know, even a parent, they're looking at their child?
You know what? If they're getting by on life functioning, picture how much better life's going to be with all that extra money in your pocket. It's scary to stop because you're afraid of the change. You're not even enjoying your high anymore. It's no longer fun. It's procedure. You know, if you get rid of that procedure and that element in your life, it's so much more rewarding. There's so much more out there. Life's so much more better without the bullshit, man. For real.
All right, sweet. Hey, guys, this is Adam Jasinski. You can check him. Well, first and foremost, make sure to pick up his book, My Kids on Drugs Now What? You can see him
on drugs.com, adamjasinski.org.
He's also on Facebook. He's also on Instagram. Let me see. Yeah, he's also on Instagram. It's the Adam Jasinski. We'll put it right there in the show notes for you guys. Also, if you have a child that needs some type of a location you can trust from somebody with experience, and not just somebody who opened it up, that's cool too. But you want somebody who's actually gone through it. Definitely check out the Oceans Medical Center, which is his program out there. And anything else that maybe I overlooked or forgot to ask you about, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, anything. I'm here no matter what. If you have a question, a concern, a second voice, advice, hit me up, man. I love to help. If I can't answer it, I'll put you in the right position where somebody can. It's a matter of being vocal. It's a matter of saying, hey, get me in the loop. If something's in your pit of your stomach, or you're questioning it, your gut saying something's wrong, something's wrong. And it can get better. It's not hard. The sooner you do something, the sooner it gets better.
All right. I know I said the last question, but you talked about, some Louis shoes in there. Can I see those real quick?
You want to see some Louis shit?
Yeah, I want to see that. Let us see those.
All right, Louis. I got Louis bag here. That's duffel. Look at this joint. Hold on. You want to see some more? Look at this thing. I got a Louis straight. That's some Louis big ass bag. Whatever.
Yeah.
Laundry bag, cousin. I got some Gucci up here. I got all kinds of good shit, man. You want to see the garage? That's where all the toys are at.
Hey, let's do it. Yeah.
Come on. I'm going to get this. Is got some Rocky Balboa. You know what I'm saying?
You got it. Adrian.
Hold on. Hit this. It's a little messy in here, but I got all kinds of cool shit. I got motorcycles,
sweet,
golf carts, tanning bed, BMWs. You know what I'm saying? Sweet. I save my shit. Listen, what happens when you save your money and don't do drugs, you can get cool stuff.
That is super dope, man. And
yeah.
Are you a Giants fan?
No, not at all. But I was at the auction. That thing is by Leroy Neiman, or whatever the hell his name is.
That I like right there.
And I was in. It's signed. It's like worth like a bunch of money. I got it for like $35 at an auction, man. The guy was in the bathroom, came out. He's like, "Did you get that picture? It's worth like $5,000." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I put it on my wall.
Sweet.
Well, you know, it's the Eagles and the Phillies. Man.
Oh my God, I'm with you with the Phillies, but not the Eagles, man.
Bum. Thanks, man. Listen, for real, anything I can do for you anytime. You're a super guy, man. I hope everyone supports what you're doing. You know, you're very adamant about it. You were very supportive of me from the second you found out. And whoever listens to your show, man, 100%. He's a solid guy, and listen to his advice because he wouldn't steer me wrong, so I doubt he'd do it to you.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. That's Adam Jasinski. Again, that's the author of My Kids on Drugs Now What? Go pick up the book. And until next time, guys.
Hey, Ma! I'm on TV!